Hello everyone, my name is Sophie and welcome to my new video. Today we're talking about Kingdom of the Wicked. Kingdom of the Wicked that took me like a year to read. I started it multiple times over like the span of 1 year and now I finally finished it. My Goodreads is at Honestly Sophie and you can obviously look up my reviews there. You can ask to be my friend, I'll accept you. Love you. And my review was a 1-star review and it said, I cried when I finished this because it was finally over. I also saw when I was like setting up the camera that my nails are really shiny. I kind of want to do ASMR. Does it work? I don't know. I can't hear it. These are stick-on nails, you know, because I was like, I'm really gonna go all out. I changed my sign in the back. In case you don't know, I have a book podcast called The Book Hater Club podcast. It's on my channel. And it always says the name in here, on here. And this is the first video where I can use it for something else. And I wrote, I hate YA. So it's not I hate ya, like you, love you. I hate YA, the genre. Yeah, we got that, okay. Well, I actually wanted to write something funny on it, book related to Kingdom of the Wicked. But I realized I don't have enough letters. Like, I wanted to write Daddy, Demon Daddy, but I don't have enough D's. So, if anyone wants to send me some more letters, feel free. Ugh, I haven't done this in so long, I'm so nervous. Also, it's super hot. Am I shiny? I only know that my nails are shiny, but I don't know if I'm shiny. I'm sorry, okay, I'm sweating. Kingdom of the Wicked was written by Carrie Maniscalco. She is looking at me menacingly in her author pick. And she has written the Jack the Ripper series. I don't know what the fuck it's called. I know that it's like multiple books in that series with different, maybe different characters. I don't know. I know, but I don't. Carrie, I don't know if she is Italian, because this book plays in Italy and that will be a big part of this video, okay? Her name is Carrie and her sister's name is Kelly. I would mess that up if I were the parents. My parents messed my brother and my name up already. And he's my brother. You know? Before we talk further, this video is meant for entertainment purposes only. I am not here to hate on the author or people who like the book. I'm just here to be funny. It's not that deep. I'm just here to be funny. Like, I don't mean it. Like, watch, okay? Maybe you find me annoying. I heard it a lot, but you know. Maybe you don't, and maybe we're gonna be besties. Maybe you're gonna be part of the Book Hater Club. Join me, I'm the Book Hater Club president. So, this book, what is it about? If you don't know, I think everyone knows. Maybe you don't, because it's on TikTok, you know what I mean? So I heard about it from TikTok and people recommended it to me. They said, you have to read Kingdom of the Wicked. I said, girls and boys and they-dems, I'm ready. It took me forever, but it plays in Italy, and it's about a girl. And the girl is 17. She's very stupid. Fuck off. I fucking hated her. And I found out that this series is rated new adult. And I'll talk about how I found out later. But it's new adult, but there's no sexy time in this first book. Later on in the series, there's like a lot of sex. And I don't think that in the Jack the Ripper series there's any sex. Because it's YA. I think Carrie just really had to get it out. You know what I mean? So, we have a girl. Her name is... It's Amelia. Her name is Amelia. And she's from Sicily. Palermo, to be more specific. And she is a witch. And her grandma's a witch. And her sister is her twin. Her sister is her sibling. Her sister dies in the beginning of the book. And the whole book is basically about her trying to figure out who murdered her sister. While also getting involved with the wicked. That's gonna be hard for me to say. I can already tell. I can tell. I actually have a presentation tomorrow and I haven't prepared for it yet. And it's in English. So I have to get into the flow, you know. 'Cause I'm from Germany. Actually. The book is about her trying to find her sister's murderer with the help of the wicked, who are the 7 princes of hell. Okay, so they're like evil demons. They're super ancient and evil. Apparently, they're not, you know. But that's the whole plot. Now, I'm actually not only from Germany, guys. Oh my god, new Sophie lore just dropped. Babe, wake up. I'm actually part Italian. Oui. Oh no, that's French. My granddad was from Sicily, more specifically Palermo, which makes my dad half Italian and me a quarter Italian. Can you tell? Oh, I just got too excited. I never met my grandpa, you know. He pissed off to Sicily. Fuck that man. Like, he left my grandma. They never married and stuff. Whatever. I don't really care that much because I don't know this man. But I don't know any Italian or anything about, like, Italian culture or Sicilian culture. I don't, you know, it's just a little fun fact. However, I think this gives me the justification to judge this book, like, really deeply, because it plays in my city, in where my family is from. Even though I have no connection to this part of my family, I feel like the right... Why is my microphone, like, I feel like it's just bugging out, and I don't know why, because I'm, like, not sitting any closer than usually, and I'm not talking any louder. Maybe I have to put it a little bit farther away, because last podcast episode, guys, the microphone was blowing out the whole time, and I didn't say anything about it, and no one commented, thank God. I was really embarrassed, but I wasn't even screaming, so let me, like, how do I... My dad also doesn't know any Italian, okay? Oh my God, everything is falling apart. We have the premise of the book. Okay, so let me look this up, because I don't remember, because I started reading this in... like a month ago. Seriously, you know, I've been trying to get into it for a year, but a month ago is when I sat down and I was like, Sophie, you're gonna read this book. Yeah. We have the grandma. Her name is Nonna, of course, because that's Italian for grandma. There's a lot of talk in this book, okay? We know the issue, a lot of talk and not show, and I don't want to get into the issues right away, because that's not fun. So let's wait a little bit until I get really mad. Nonna sighed. There are 7 demon princes, but only 4 Di Carlos should fear, because her name is Emilia Di Carlos, so they're the Di Carlos family. Wrath, I don't really know why they should only fear 4, by the way. Wrath, greed, envy, and pride. Pride is the devil. Listen, I didn't know. I don't know anything about that kind of stuff. And she kept mentioning, like, she mentioned that pride is the devil. He is the devil. He's the worst. Devil is pride, because they're just, like, 7 sins. And I forgot, because I just, like, is this general knowledge? Maybe, but I didn't know. So whenever she was like, pride, oh my God, pride, I was like, why do we care so much about pride? Until in the end, literally in the end, she was like, oh, he's the devil. Because she has mentioned this before. I just forgot. And I was like, oh my God, really? This was like the biggest reveal, because I just forgot. The biggest plot twist, because I just forgot about it. The worst are wrath, greed, envy, and pride, which we all meet in this book, of course. One will crave your blood, one will capture your heart, one will steal your soul, and one will take your life. The wicked, Vittoria whispered, which is her sister who fucking dies. The malvagi... Vagina. Vagina. Are demon princes who stalk the night. I'm literally sitting here reading like this. I love having nails. Searching for souls to steal for their king, the devil, their hunger, ravenous and unyielding, until dawn chases them away, because they only come out during the night, which is a lie. Nonna be lying. Nonna continued, slowly rocking in her chair, because she's old and she has a rocking chair. The 7 princes are so corrupted by sin that when they cross into our world, they can't bear being in the light and are cursed to only venture out when it's dark. It was a punishment sent from La Prima Strega many years ago, well before man roamed the earth. How was she on Earth then? La Prima is the original witch. I don't know if any of this is funded in actual lore. The only way I know that it kinda is because there are demon princes in Sarah J. Maas's books, but she has like fae shit, so I don't, you know, in Crescent City. So, but that's the only lore that I know. I was just going with it. I was like, okay, whatever, sure. Where's the first witch now? Amelia asked. An edge of skepticism creeping into her little voice. Oh, there are children in this. This is a flashback. Why hasn't she been seen? She has her reasons. We must respect them. She's taking a mental health decade. What do the demon princes look like? Vittoria asked, though she must have had this part memorized by now. They appear human, but their ebony eyes are tinged red, and their skin is hard as stone. Whatever you do, you must never speak to the wicked. If you see them, hide. Once you've caught the demon prince's attention, he'll stop at nothing to claim you. You are they are midnight creatures, born of darkness and moonlight, and they seek only to destroy. You pussy. So the twins have been asking their nana, who is their mentor, for all of these stories, and she tells them, oh my god, the demon princes are the worst. They will eat you up, they will eat your pussy, and they will like it, and we don't want to have that happening. And so the girls are like, okay, like, she's telling all these stories, like, our grandma is crazy. We're literally witches who practice magic actively, and we know that there's dark magic, and that there is a hell, but whatever. We don't believe this bitch. Fuck this old ass woman. So they both have, her and her sister have a little amulet. It's called Cornicello. Cornicello. It's Italian, so we gotta figure it out. Cornicello. I don't really know, her fucking amulet. And they've been wearing them since they were children. Her and her sister are told never to touch these two amulets together. Each of them is wearing one. Never put them together. If you put them together, the devil's gonna come. He's gonna come get you, basically. Or the fucking demons are gonna come onto Earth. And I don't know why you would tell this to an 8-year-old. Because I don't think that they would think of doing this if they weren't told. You know what I mean? Because if I told a child, don't do this, they're gonna do it at some point. But if I never mentioned, like... Because why would they think of it themselves? Let's put our amulets together? Why would they do that? Why would they do that? But they're warned again and again not to do it. And so they do it. From then on, Emilia can see the aura of people around them. Kind of like that One Wings episode where Bloom can see the people, like their true intentions above them. Does anyone know that? Or am I talking out of my ass? Did I dream this up? I don't really know. I watched that shit when I was younger. I ate it up. This doesn't matter as far as I'm concerned. Like, her seeing auras of people... A faint shimmer or aura surrounding a person, I don't really know why she can do that and what it does. Like, there's no point in this ability. Her sister never mentions an ability of her own, but of course she has one. After they put it together, they gain this ability, right? And they never tell anyone about it. They're like, it's a secret, can you keep it? I never watched Pretty Little Liars. After this flashback, we jump back into the present, okay? They are now 17, twinsies. This is where the confusion began. Because I don't know when this book is taking place, okay? Because Peace and Love, there is no description. I don't know if the Jack the Ripper series is the same, but Miss Carrie, she was just like, she's just here for the vibes. She doesn't do any description of buildings. She doesn't do any description of places, of clothes, of people. Like, other than what's absolutely necessary. She'll say there's a rug on the floor and a big bath chamber. That's it. Bitch, I don't know what the fuck it looks like. Why do I have to come up with everything? You do a fucking job. She doesn't describe anything. I don't even know what Emilia looks like. I mean, I can't imagine because obviously I have a picture in my head of her. But the description is very minimal. It's very minimal and it's the bare, like, necessities. And so... I don't really know what the point is of it being set in Palermo, Sicily, to be specific, because the only thing that reminds you of this being the setting is that she mentions it a bunch of times, and that she says grazie, how do you say, grazie? Oh, that was good. She says it a bunch of times, but that's it. Like, that's the whole extent of the Italian she will say. And so... I don't really know what the point is of that. And also, I don't know when this book is set, like, time-wise. Obviously, this is set, or supposed to be set in our world, where just witches and demons are, and the seven princes of hell and all of that is a thing. But we don't know when. Like, it's set in Palermo, Sicily, but when? Because people, like, the women are still wearing skirts and dresses. So they're not wearing pants yet. So I made it a mission to figure out when this was set. Because obviously, it must have been... before the World War One. Because it wouldn't make sense any otherwise, because she would have had to mention something. So my first hint was her mentioning dinosaurs. I feared them as much as I worried about dinosaurs suddenly returning from extinction to take over Palermo. Because she's thinking about, like, oh my god, what if the wicked return? Like, she doesn't take it seriously. And also, she's just talking about food in the beginning, which, like, the first 20% of the book is just food, and, like, I'm making this, and I skip that. I don't fucking care about the fucking food. And then the rest of the book, like, she doesn't cook again, because she's depressed and busy. Stay busy, queen. But that's, like, when you start reading the book, you get bombarded with these food descriptions. It seems to be a big part of the book, but once you progress further, it's not. There's no point in it anymore, because she doesn't cook. But the beginning makes it out to be. So that's misleading. So her mentioning dinosaurs tells me, because this can't take place after the First World War, that it must take place between 1824 and 1914, because that's when the First World War started. So we have a 100-year span where this could have taken place. But in that 100-year span, a lot of things happened. But I think I figured it out, so stay tuned. Of course, witches are being killed. Her sister is not the first one to be killed, and not the last. Oh my god. Her grandma tells her about, like, stay safe, don't go out, and she still does. And this is the thing with Amelia. She will do the opposite of what people tell her, and it's really aggravating, because every time it happens, she gets in trouble, and then the hot demon daddy that's gonna come in has to come and save her. I was like, oh my god, bitch. I didn't even get to see any cock in this book. There are stories that claim that the wicked will return to Sicily every few weeks beginning now, searching for something that was stolen from the devil. What was stolen? A blood debt. Okay, that's scary. I'm really scared right now. Nothing is, like, explained enough. Like, things are explained, but they're not explained enough. Like, she does so much talking in this book. There's barely any description. This whole book is basically just dialogue. I think it's more dialogue than description, like, more dialogue than not. And I still don't know anything about the fucking world. He belonged to the church, and I was a witch. And not just a human, strega, using folk magic against the evil eye and praying to Catholic saints. My family was something other, something not entirely human. Our power was feared, not respected. Along with 12 other witch families living secretly in Palermo, which we don't get to fucking see. We were true daughters of the moon. Descendants of an actual goddess, who we also don't get to see maybe in the other books, but I will not be reading, bitch. Fuck you. But for everyone's safety, we didn't interact with each other. Our magic was a peculiar thing, while it only passed down for the woman. I don't know how to say the word, matricular. I don't know. Her mom doesn't have any magical abilities. Her grandma has them, her mom doesn't, and her and her sister have them. So there's a lot of explaining. If there's not dialogue that explains what's going on, or just the universe, it's like in the text that it's just a lot of description, and we don't get to see the family, so why am I hearing about this? Are they relevant in the other books? She literally, peace and love. I'm gonna tell you what happens at the end of the book. She goes to hell. So, like, are the families even relevant in the rest of the series? Anyone who's read the series, can you tell me? Because I'm curious. I genuinely want to know. At one time, there had been a council made up of the eldest member of each witch family. Nonna had been the leader in Palermo, but the coven disbanded soon after Vittoria and I had been born. Stories were a little murky on the exact cause of the coven's collapse, but from what I gathered, old Sophia Santorini had invoked the dark arts and something went very wrong, leaving her mind fragmented. She went cray. We just get a bunch of history, but you guys don't care because this has no relevance. I don't know why I put this even in here. I don't know why I'm going in such detail. No one fucking cares. Such a pious young woman reading the good book. I smiled down at my cutting board. The novel I was in the middle of was a good book. It just wasn't the good book. I refrained from telling him about the last chapter I read, the one where the hero expressed his love in many colorful and physical astounding ways. I suppose technically his stamina could be considered miraculous. I'd certainly become a believer of impossible expectations. She's so different. She reads smut. Was there smut in the early 20th century? 20th century. What the fuck am I saying? 20th century. Sorry, bitch. Wake up. They're talking about what would happen if they ever touched their necklaces together, which they already have. And then her sister's like, the devil will roam free. We will be bathed in the blood of innocence. Our souls cursed to hell for eternity. Why are they responsible for keeping the devil in hell? These random girls. What, like, why is it just them? Wouldn't you try to find, like, a better system to keep the devil in hell? Like, that seems kind of weird, especially giving that burden to an 8-year-old. You see what happened? They touched it. And now he's free. Also, the chapter length in this was super weird. Some of the chapters were super, super long, and some of them were, like, 3 pages. And I read the ebook, so I don't really know how that plays out in the physical version, but I was just confused by that, because I feel like, isn't chapter length something that should be consistent? Do you want some ASMR? This is like page 100 in the ebook. The ebook was like 600 pages. She finds her sister dead. She doesn't know it's her sister yet, but she sees a dead girl in the church. Yeah. Human monster had broken into the catacombs and committed the vilest of acts. He tasted the blood of the dead. Before I could heed the warnings, my grandmother had beaten into our thick skulls from birth. From birth. I was out of my hiding spot, screaming like I was a feral creature of the night. Stop! She sees someone drinking blood and she's like, please stop. Please don't do that. Peace and love. Like, can you please stop? And then the creature runs away. Because he's like, sure. You asked so nicely. Oh, here she mentions his aura. She says it wasn't lavender, but a shimmering multi-toned black with specks of gold. But I feel like this is the only time she mentions it. I wasn't really paying attention, guys. Fuck it. Fuck it. She goes up to her dead sister, who's dead on the floor, and she goes, Victoria, can you move? Like her chest is split open and her heart is missing because it was ripped out. And she goes up to her sister on the floor and she's like, hey, can you get up? Girl, dinner's ready. Victoria, can you move? Victoria didn't move. I didn't inhale or exhale either. I stood there looking down at her, caught somewhere between denial and terror. I could not make myself understand the sight before me. I tugged at my hair. I'd seen her just an hour or two earlier. Why is she tugging at her hair? Yeah, so her sister isn't moving anytime soon because she's dead. Or is she? Because, guys, peace and love. Are you going to read this series? I don't care. She's not dead. Because I looked up the reviews for the last book, or the description for the last book, and it literally says, Victoria is still alive. So in the second book, they didn't know. But in the third book, probably at the end of the second book, they figure it out. And then in the third book, she's alive and they're doing something with her. I don't really know. But, like, I feel like this is the only way the series could have progressed. But also, the last book in the series I saw has the worst reviews. Like, the worst ratings. Because it seems to be just smut. It seems to be like Ecomoth, but for the poor. When witch blood spills across Sicily, take your daughters and hide, because Sicily is the center of the earth. The Malvagi have arrived. Now, there's been 3 witch murders. It does not mean the wicked killed them. What about witch hunters? I screenshot this and it says, starting with the first victim in Ciassa, more than a week before Emilia's murder. But Emilia wasn't murdered, it was Victoria, so this is a fucking error. Or are they meaning the murder Emilia is investigating? But that would be weird to write. You would write Victoria, because she's the one dead. She was murdered, not Emilia. Oh, man, I didn't even notice this. Not a single witch family had come forward with information about the Wicked's arrival, because they're not here, we don't believe in them. I was so frustrated, I could scream. She's just like me. Anyway, there's a fucking prophecy, okay? And we don't get to hear about it until later. The grandma gets stabbed, and then she can't speak, but she can, and she gets up and she's like, she curses someone, and then she's like, sit down, child, I have a prophecy to tell. I fucking hated this book, honestly. It was so boring. I'm so over it. She goes into Victoria's room that she shares with her, so it's also her room. And she's like, okay, let's find anything that could maybe, like, tell me where... Because she's been, like, a little bit secretive the past few weeks, her sister, before she was murdered. And so she's like, okay, I gotta find any information of where she'd been. Where the fuck is there a fucking mosquito in my room? I gotta find information on who killed her, what happened... And she goes into the room and then she's like, oh my god, yeah, her secret diary that I forgot about. Which, like, how do you just forget about the diary of your sister? Like, that's the first thing that I would check out if my sister was murdered and she'd been sus the past couple of weeks. Emilia's not the brightest. The diary is enchanted though. She can't open it. And so she's like, fuck, I can't open it. But I was able to open it just like the other day when I was snooping around, and then I felt bad, so I put it back and I didn't read further. Yeah, and she can't open it because there's magic on it. And she's like, oh my god, this must mean that there's so many dangerous informations in here. Okay, guys, I'll be back tomorrow. I have to do my presentation now. I'm back. It's the next day. Let's continue. Presentation was great. I slayed. That's all that matters, guys. It was a group presentation. I slayed. I'm not gonna speak on the rest of the people. Emilia finds the secret diary. They heard me talking about them. The group project is coming from me. She finds a diary. She cannot open it. There's some kind of spell that prevents her from opening it. So she goes to her bestie's mom instead of her bestie. She goes to her mom and it's like, hey, you do dark magic, which is forbidden, but whatever, like you don't care. Can you help me open this? Or do you know what the fuck this is? Because she also finds like some pages, just scattered pages. And then the mom is like, your sister tried summoning a demon. She tried summoning a fucking demon. She also leaves a diary with her, I think, or maybe with her friend, because she can't open it and they do dark magic, so they can help her figure out what the issue is with that. So since her sister tried summoning a demon, she makes the executive decision to also summon a demon. Because that's just what sisters do. Are you suggesting my sister was summoning demons and asking them for favors before she died? There's no way to know for sure what she was doing, but I guarantee those spells are strictly for summoning. I doubt a demon aided her without some sort of bargain. They don't believe in doing charitable work. There's always some gain in it for them. I think the scene perfectly, like, embodies everything that Emilia is, which is a fucking bitch. Listen, I'm just really annoyed by this book because Emilia is a very unlikable main character. And I always see people arguing like, oh, you're reading YA, those people are young adults, they're like 16 to 18 usually. You do dumb decisions, you make dumb decisions. Oh my god, the accent is not accenting. You make dumb decisions when you're in that age range. That's like, you read YA and then get mad at these people for acting their age. But Emilia is like an exception. She's exceptionally stupid. She goes to summon a demon, like her sister did. She knows that she has to use bones and blood for this, which is considered dark magic, which she's not supposed to do. Her nana has been telling her, don't do this, girl. She's like, fuck you, old woman. She still is like, fuck you. She genuinely doesn't like her grandma, I think. And so she uses bones and then she tries summoning with animal blood. And I think she spills it. And then she uses her own blood, which is witch blood, obviously, which is obviously going to be stronger. Obviously. So she summons a super hot demon daddy. She describes him, but I didn't screenshot it because I didn't care that much. Imagine a tall, buff man. That's it. That's all the description you get because honestly, don't they all look the same? I don't even know how people recognize people from fan art if you just put the fan art of like a man. You cannot put them. There's like, okay, he has blonde hair or he has dark hair. If he has dark hair, it's over, bitch. You're never finding out what book he's from. She sees this demon that she just summoned and she realizes that it's the same demon as the one that she saw lick her sister's blood when she was dead on the floor. And also, she has his dagger because he forgot his dagger. He forgot, you know. He's old. He forgot. He forgot his dagger at the crime scene. And so she's been having it and she used it to summon him and he's staring at it. And she's like, oh my god, he is the one that was at my sister's murder scene. The hilt was as cool as the icy rage now rushing through my veins. I'm going to kill you, I snarled, then lunged at him. First of all, you're not supposed to summon them. You're not supposed to summon the wicked. You know they are evil and cruel and dangerous. You know, because your nana told you for like 50 million years that you're alive. And then she summons one, she's like, I'm gonna kill you, because probably she's gonna be able to kill him, right? But of course we realize after the initial summoning, him looking at her menacingly and evilly and with his hard, icy blue eyes. I don't know what his eye color is, if I'm being honest. Either it's ice blue, icy eyes, blue eyes, or it's like emerald. Because there's like never a main male love interest with brown eyes. That's not allowed. That's not allowed. If you write that into YA, your editors make you change that. We find out he's daddy, though, which is why I wanted to write Demon Daddy, but alas, as I said, I couldn't. One day I'm going to be free of this bond. I think very carefully about that. I step close to him, angling my face up. One day I'm going to find a way to kill you. Think very carefully about that. Now tell me who you are and why you wanted Vittoria dead. He offered me a smile that probably made men piss themselves? but not women. Very well. Since you only have minimal time to hold me here and have already wasted precious minutes with your poor excuses of an assassination attempt, she tries to stab him. I'll play your game. I am the Prince of Wrath, General of War, and one of the feared 7. That was really cringe first. I think Emilia at some point also laughs at him because she also thinks it's cringe, which I respect that girl. It is. But he is Prince Wrath, and obviously that's not his real name, but he doesn't tell her his real name. Also, he can't be killed, or he can be killed, but it takes a lot to kill him apparently, so her just stabbing him didn't work. Obviously. I could have told her that. It doesn't work. He's still alive, and now he's like in this circle, in the summoning circle, and he has to stay there for a certain amount of time, maybe like 3 days. He has to stay in the summoning circle, and he can't leave. And also, through the summoning that she did, she added some additional words, and he tells her, because you added those words, which was like, I don't know, protect me forever or something, he can't attack her, which he wants to do. Obviously he wants to kill her and have sex with her, but not in this book. They actually get matching tattoos, really cute. She summons him, and all of a sudden they have matching tattoos, and those tattoos, they grow throughout the book. So it's snakes, and then like a crescent moon, and some flowers, maybe a clock, maybe a line, maybe a compass, you know, the basic man tattoos. An anchor, maybe also. What else is basic for men? You know, but when men have tattoos, they always have the same fucking tattoos, and they're ugly as fuck. Peace and love if you have those, okay? They're not ugly. If you have them, if you're watching this and you have them, they're not ugly. But men who have those and are not watching my videos, those are ugly. And then he offers her like a blood trade, where he's like, if you agree to help me find the murderers of the witches, because that's what he wants to do, then I vow to protect you and your family. And she would vow herself to his house, which is something that the demons try to continuously have her do in this book, and I don't really know why, because honestly, like, the thing is, when you... I know I'm here to review them. By the way, I'm just cleaning up my pictures right now, don't mind me. I am here to review this book and to tell you what happens and what was bad about it, but at the end of the day, I know I'm not going to continue the series, and so I didn't care. Like, I was trying to keep up with the lore in the beginning, but then at the end I was just kind of going for the vibes. I was just kind of here for the vibes, you know, anything happened, I was like, okay, whatever. Doesn't make sense, but whatever, I'm not going to think about it further. And that's the best way to read this book. Don't question. He offers her a blood trade to join his house. She will be protected, and she will be part of his house, so other demon princes also won't attack her. And she goes, no, Prince Wrath, I do not accept your blood trade. And she never does throughout this book. She never, well, in the end, she marries the devil. So I would have done the blood trade, if I'm being honest. But don't worry, the devil is also super hot, of course, so maybe it wasn't that bad marrying him. I don't know. I didn't read book 2. I would accept the blood trade personally, because if there was a hot demon daddy in a circle shirtless, and he had icy blue eyes, you know, I would be wet immediately. So I would be like, I will accept whatever you offer me. But she's like, okay, wait, my nana told me not to accept blood trades, so I'm not going to do it. So this is the one time she listens to her grandma, and at the end of the day, it didn't pay off. Like, it went terribly wrong. Whatever. Fuck the grandma. There's a lot of exposition in this book. This is, I think, is exposition the word I'm looking for? Where just, like, nothing is happening, and people are just talking about what has happened, and what's going to happen, and blah blah blah. Like, there's not a lot of action in this book, and whenever any action happened, I just skipped it. At the end of the book, there's a scene where she goes into like a room in the castle, no, in the church, and it took pages and pages and pages for her to get into this fucking room. You can be damn sure I skipped that. That's the only, like, it was so boring. I feel like the pacing was so off, because at times things would happen really fast, and then they would take forever to happen. It was just not really good. Nothing about this book was really good. Like, nothing about this book was good, period. Not even mediocre. She reminisces about what happened the night her sister was murdered, and she remembers this conversation between them. Her sister saying, I was summoning the devil. An ancient book whispered its secrets to me, and I've decided to take him as my husband. I'd invite you to the wedding, but I'm pretty sure the ceremony takes place in hell. She realizes now that her sister wasn't joking, because she thought it was a joke at the time, but that she was being that serious, like she was going to marry the devil. And that was her plan. But then she ended up dead. Or did she end up dead? Why did Pride want to marry her? She asked Wrath. And then Wrath says nothing. He says Pride needs to marry in order to break a curse that was placed on him. And then she asks him, why are you helping? And he says, I was bored. It seemed like fun. Wrath is on Earth to find his brother a bride. And it has to be a witch. And so the witches that have been killed and are still continuing to be killed are all potential brides for Wrath. But they are being killed... No, for Pride. Sorry. I hate that they don't have proper names. Because I can't differentiate them. And that's another issue. These demon princes of hell that are like... Literally, Wrath is the prince of, what did he say? War and bloodshed and stuff like that. He's so fucking boring. All of these princes are the same person. They have nothing that kind of makes them stand out from one another. They probably also all look the same. There's nothing special about any of these demons. They are literally just any male love interest in a YA fantasy. Or actually, it's new adult. So I hated that, actually, because they didn't feel distinct between one another. You could swap out the names. Or if you blacked out the names, it didn't matter, because you wouldn't have realized that it's different people talking. You know what I mean? I fucking hated that. If he's a prince of war, and he's super ancient and he's super evil, why isn't he doing super evil stuff? Why is he, in love with this 17-year-old girl? 18-year-old girl? Where's the difference? Another big thing is, of course, that Wrath cannot lie to Emilia because of the bond, which is actually a marriage bond. I spoiled it. She has agreed to marry Wrath, and that's why they also have matching tattoos or something like that. I didn't really get it. I didn't really care. And what point was I trying to make anyway? I don't know. Anyway, all of the demon princes feel the same. Emilia is fucking annoying. She doesn't really ask the right questions, I feel like. She has a lot of questions, and she sits down in her little silly bed at some point and writes down all of her questions that she has, where she's like, okay, I don't know what anything has to do with anything, I'm just gonna write it down. And that's how she literally talks in my head. And then you have a page where you can see her notes, which is so weird because this doesn't come up again. It's just kind of a way for the reader to understand all of the different plot points that are going on, all of the questions that Emilia wants to have solved. But what is the point of this if this doesn't come up again? If her little list and I literally see the list on the page, it doesn't come up again. Why did she do that? That was really cringe and weird. She's laying on her bed. I'm imagining she's laying on her stomach, feet kicking, and she's writing, my sister had her heart ripped out. Who did this? Question mark. Of course, Wrath can't lie to her, which I just mentioned, and this is absolutely a big point because in the end he does lie to her, but he's not telling her the full truth, or he's telling her part of the truth and making up some other shit along the way. I don't really know. He's deceiving her, basically, and this is such a boring trope. The question thing is really annoying because she doesn't even question Wrath about the tattoo, and he doesn't really tell her anything about anything without a trade, because he's okay, why should I give you all this information if you're not going to give me anything for it? But the tattoo, she hides it from her family, and then she doesn't really ask Wrath about it. She's okay, this is because I summoned him. That's why we have matching tattoos. She meets one of his brothers, and I don't know who because I didn't write it down, and he calls her a shadow witch. Oh my god, a shadow witch, and this is the first time that this term is used, and it's not thought about further by Emilia. She's okay, I am. If you say so, that I am. I'm a shadow witch. Peace and love, we rule, but I don't know what that is. And she doesn't explain it to me either. Because maybe Emilia is aware of it, what a shadow witch is, but I'm not as the reader. So why aren't they explaining it? And why isn't she why did you just call me a shadow witch? Why doesn't she ask those questions? I don't get it. He's really hot. The demon is really hot. He's one of the brothers. Again, I don't remember which one. But she's a feminism queen because even though we are in the early 2000s and she's not allowed to probably go to university, of course we need some feminism talk. Also, she's a smart reader. Oh my god, that scene comes later. I literally want to rip my hair out. Oh, she's talking to Envy, and he's perhaps we can strike a bargain. If you agree to sell your soul to House Envy, it will help you find what you seek. You would make an interesting gift to my court. Do you sing? And then she answers, I'm not unique, nor was I a thing or a gift to be passed around like a curiosity at a party. She looks into her sister's secret stash again, and she finds a coin. And she finds out from someone that this is for a gambling den. I don't know if you call it that. I don't care. And so she decides that with her chip, with her gambling chip that has this logo on it, that's how she finds it, she decides to go there. And she can already guess that this is probably from one of the demon princes because it's very sussy and it changes location. She actually meets her sister's boyfriend there. Her sister's fucking boyfriend. Oh my god, I lied. I actually lied. There's, well, I'm right, but I also lied. Emilia knows that her sister has been meeting with a man named Domenico, but there's a junior and a senior. And I didn't realize when I was reading this that she wrote senior, and I was really confused because she meets Domenico in the gambling den, and she doesn't think of this as sussy because her sister has been hanging out with him, and she's not like, oh my god, like maybe he's connected to the murders or something like that, or maybe he's sussy. But the reason she didn't think that is because the person she meets is Domenico Senior. And she thought that Junior was the one she was hanging out with. But she had daddy issues. And so she meets Domenico Junior and so Senior in the club, and she doesn't think anything of it. But I didn't read that it was Senior, and so I was like, why isn't she thinking this is sus? But it turns out that the Senior one is the one that her sister had been hanging out with. So I was right, unintentionally. This man sees Emilia in the club, and he calls her Vittoria, which means that Vittoria must have been at this club, like, occasionally, more often than not, because he does recognize her and is, like, being very casual about it. And then she tells him, I'm Emilia, my sister is ... and then the dude just fucks off. And I don't get it, because why wouldn't she play along? Why wouldn't she say, yeah, I'm my sister? Why would she tell this man, oh, I'm actually not her? If obviously there has to be some kind of connection to her and this club. She would be able to figure out several things, like several pieces of information by just playing along. If he confuses you two, play along! Bitch, do you have 2 brain cells? She has none! Of course, as I said, one of the gambling den belongs to one of the brothers. I think it's Greed. She's like drinking or pretending to drink something, and she sees that the logo is a frog. And she's like, why the fuck did you pick a frog out of all animals in the world? Like, why didn't you pick a fucking lion? And he's like, oh, they're greedy creatures. Greedy creatures, that's very difficult to say for me. Content with neither land nor water, they desire both. And then Emilia goes, made sense. In a demon logic sort of way. Why didn't he choose a fucking crocodile then? They also go on land. And in the water. A fucking hippo. A frog? She meets with him. He also tells her, sell your soul to my house for whatever reason. And also he tells her, don't trust my brother, he's a bitch. They don't really like each other. I don't know if they're like, are they like brothers in the, like who is their mom? Where's your mother? He wants her to give him the amulet, which, by the way, I don't know if we noticed at this point, but I do think we do. I just didn't mention it. It's the Horn of Hades, which I don't really know what that is, but basically if her and her sister have been carrying the Horn of Hades as an amulet, and they didn't know. And if you put the both halves of the Horn of Hades together, it opens the gates of hell, which is why they shouldn't put it together. And if you have both halves, and you can control the gates, and then that gives you some sort of leverage over the devil. So all of the fucking people want it. All of the wicked that are on the earth right now, they want it. And so does this dude, and he's like, give me your amulet! And she's like, no thanks, I'm busy. I stared at Greed, and I swore my skin physically tried to crawl away from my body in protest as he gazed back. He was classically handsome, but there was something off about him. His eyes were void of human emotion. He looked alien and wrong. I couldn't imagine my sister falling in love or even lust with him, which meant her reason for coming here was not a result of seduction. He had information she wanted, and I wanted to know what it was. So because she thinks he's uncanny valley material, her sister must also think that way. Just because you don't find someone hot doesn't mean other people won't find them hot. Or fuckable. You know what I mean? Like, that was a really weird train of thoughts. Because I don't think she would fuck Domenico either, who apparently her sister had been fucking. So, bitch. That's it. That's all I have to say. Bitch. Period. She figures out how to open the diary from her sister that's closed. She opens it. And the way she does it is by putting blood on it. Her own blood. And then it opens. That's all it had. Like, that's all it took. There was no cataclysmic event or flash of lightning. 1 minute I couldn't open it and the next I could. Which is weird to say 1 minute because I think this happens really fast. So you should write 1 second. But alas, I digress. I hesitated with the spine half cracked. I'd been trying to get into this diary for so long. And now I was a little afraid of what I was going to find. You've been trying for 2 weeks. Max. For so long. And like half of that time you were depressed. 1 week max you've been trying. Peace and love. You've not been trying for that long. So now she is reading in the diary, okay? I didn't plan on listening to it again. I'd already decided to hide it far, far from where they could find it. Ever find it. Then it whispered something that sounded a lot like nonsense. But my blood prickled. Prickled just makes me think of pickle. The Horn of Hades is a key to locking the gates of hell. But according to it, what it really is 2 somethings. They are the devil's horns cut off by his own hand. I held my amulet, feeling the truth in the hum and whispers. The root of my power. Amelia and I, for some reason I am unsure of, have been wearing the devil's horns our whole lives. Oh, okay, so here's when she reveals it. Sorry, I spoiled you. I slowly closed the diary and exhaled. Holy goddess. Devil's horns. It was hard to believe, and yet, ... I knew it was true. We'd been wearing the Horn of Hades our whole lives. No wonder Greed was so interested in our amulets. I couldn't even begin to imagine the damage that he could cause if he managed to get his hands off them both. Now, did you listen to what I just read out to you? This bitch just finds out, through this diary entry, that she's wearing the Horn of Hades. And all she says about this is, it was hard to believe, and yet, ... I knew it was true. That's all she thinks. There's no emotional reaction to this. The character doesn't go through any of like, oh my god, like, this revelation is like insane. Like, of course, like, okay, you could tell, like, you knew. That's piss poor writing. Peace and love. That's shit. I don't feel anything reading this. And neither does Amelia. She has no emotions. It's like, oh, I'm so angry my sister is dead. Sometimes she gets like these angry outbursts and it's like, oh, I'm so mad my sister died. I want to fuck everyone up. And it just doesn't make any sense because she's such a... No one in this book has like any logical reactions to anything. She doesn't ask questions about the important things. She finds this out, which is like a huge deal. Okay, peace and love. Like, if I found that out, I would be like crying, shitting, throwing up. She's like, okay, I kind of knew it. I kind of did. I hate that. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but I feel like the writing in this book it's very simple, which is okay, but give the character a little bit more emotion, a little bit more depth, because I don't feel for Amelia. I don't feel for her dead sister, who I knew for 3 pages, which isn't a bad thing, because like she died after 3 pages, so like how would I build an emotional connection to her? But it's not like you are making me have an emotional connection to her with your writing. You're not doing anything to make me feel bad for Amelia, or like be like, yeah, I definitely know what you're going through. It's really funny because right after this scene where she finds out that it's the Horn of Hades, her grandma actually gets fucked up. Someone comes into their house. It's an invisible demon, which is kind of weird, and he just slits her throat. And I thought she was gonna die, but she lives, which is really weird in itself. Why did you make the grandma live? Why didn't you kill her off? She has a little bit of relevance later on, of course, but it's so insane to me that this happens. An invisible demon breaks into her house, slits her grandma's throat. She's freaking out. By the way, her necklace also gets stolen while this is happening. Like this was kind of just like a distraction for her necklace to be stolen, like killing the grandma. And her mom rushes in and she's like, oh, don't worry, I have some cream. I have some cream, let's put it on. And then the wound just heals itself, which is like peace and love, fine. But after this happens, this is on page like, I'm gonna say 250 again, because I don't know, like 250, 270 from 600. She doesn't give a single fuck about her grandma again. Her grandma almost died, like almost bled out. And she never goes to visit her and be like, hey grandma, how are you doing? Why not? Like, that's why I say she doesn't give a fuck about her grandma. Because she doesn't even check up on her. The grandma is supposed to have such a big role, and then we don't even care if she gets stabbed. Do we care if she dies? I don't. Do you? You don't either. I know, you don't have to tell me. This was a scene that made me want to scream and shout and let it all out. Emilia Maria Di Carlo didn't do danger. My sister was the adventurous one. I was satisfied with safe, clean fun. Give me a steamy romance novel with forbidden love and impossible odds. That was the kind of adventure I could get behind. I'm so miserable. The wording on this alone is really weird to me. Like, a steamy romance novel with forbidden love. I don't think someone in the early 20th century would... Did I say early 2000s earlier? Early 20th century would think of like a book as a steamy romance novel. I just don't think that they would use that kind of verbiage. I mean, the way they talk is not in any sense like old-timey. It's very modern. And it's just like, it seems very lazy to me. Because if you read historical fiction or historical fantasy, I don't know what this would be classified as, you know. Bitch, I don't know any genres. I don't know anything about reading. I'm just sitting here, I'm just talking out of my ass. Then shouldn't you do at least a little bit, like, put a little bit of effort? Because if there's no point in this being set in a early 20th century Palermo. You could do it now in Palermo. But then she would have to write about cell phones, and maybe she didn't want to do that. The reason I decided that this would be in the early 20th century, so somewhere between 1904 and 1914, is because she talks about nerve receptors. And I was wondering, when the fuck did people find out about nerve receptors? And I didn't find like a definite answer. You can argue definitely, but especially because like she's like a normal ass girl. Like, how does she know about nerve receptors? That seems very specific to like, I don't know, it just seems very specific anatomy. Major trauma sometimes took a few seconds to catch up to nerve receptors in the brain. And she knows this, first of all, which is kind of weird, that she just has this information in her head. Maybe because she's a witch and she just knows a thing or two about medicine. Okay, like, we'll let it slide. Her knowing that there are nerve receptors specifically in the brain, I feel like that was a revelation that came later on. So the early 20th century makes sense for me. And that's my definite answer for the timing of this book. Somewhere between 1904 and 1914. In that 10-year time span this happened. Just in case you were wondering. You know, don't worry. I got all the information for you. Then at this point I kind of stopped giving a fuck, I'm gonna be honest, because this book just seems so over the top for me. Her own amulet is stolen. She doesn't actually know who stole it because it was an invisible demon or invisible assassination attempt. So it could have been anyone. And she finds out from one of the brothers that her sister's amulet is underneath the gambling place in like a snake's viperidae, maybe. Viperidae? A fucking big ass snake. I was imagining like a basilisk from Harry Potter. That creature is guarding her sister's amulet, is what one of the brothers tells her. She talks about this with Wrath, who at this point, I don't know if he's out or not. I don't think he's out of the circle yet. He's still in the summoning circle. And I think it's running out, actually. The time is running out with the summoning circle as she goes to this snake to retrieve the amulet. She does this after everyone tells her not to do it, and it's really dangerous, and this creature can only be summoned, and it's super dangerous to even summon it, and so someone must have put it there because it doesn't just spawn. And she's like, well, yeah, okay, everyone's telling me not to do it. I have no qualification to fight a giant snake whose bite can kill me within seconds, but like, I'm gonna do it anyway because I'm kind of bored. So she goes there and of course she manages to get the amulet back. Of course, she gets bit, which is why she talks about nerve receptors, I think. I actually don't know, I'm just lying now. But she does kill the snake, allegedly. We don't really know if it's dead or not, because she stabs its eye. And it's a really weird scene, because she's like, oh, the snake must be dead because I stab his eye with something, and it goes all the way into his brain? How hard are you stabbing this giant snake? Is it not thrashing when you stab it? Like, if I get something in my eye, I'll be like, oh, you know, is the snake not doing that? Is it like, oh, okay. That feels kind of nice. So this is like just dumb bitch behavior. And honestly, I've said earlier that this is new adult. Like, even if this was YA, I would call her dumb. But if this is really new adult, you gotta act like a little bit of an adult. You're new to it, I know, but I'm so over it. I'm sorry, I'm so over it. As I said, the bond or the summoning circle bond is running out, the 3 days or whatever it was, as she's doing this, and Wrath tells her, okay, you can go fight the snake, but if anything happens to you, I'm not gonna come and save you. And she's like, okay, I don't care. And so he comes and saves her, because he lied. He's not obligated to, because, or maybe he is, because they are like engaged. I don't really get the lore. There was so much. Okay, there was so much. I just didn't keep up. He saves her, and he uses a lot of like magic to offer, like his own magic to save her, and he licks her neck, and now they're like super engaged, and everyone knows that he used a lot of power on her. I don't really know. Also, he had to do this while they were naked, because otherwise it wouldn't be as hot. Because the what's it called? The gift? No, the gift. The gift is German. Gift in English is present. Gift in German is poison. Yes, so I was trying to say poison, sorry. The poison makes your body heat up, and so of course Wrath decided to get her naked, and he also had to get naked, I think. And then they were both naked, and he put like a spell on her or something, I don't really know. A smile slowly tugged at the corner of his mouth. His expression resembled that of an immensely pleased yet smug male. The seromassification of YA. Maybe I should have done NA because it's new adult, but I didn't think of that. Because this feels YA. This is the first time she uses the word male, and then she does it again later. If you've read the rest of the series, you can comment down below if she uses male and female more in the ongoing books. Because I feel like she does. Because she starts it here. I feel like she cannot stop now that she's committed. At this point, I believe she's still naked. I don't really know. But the vibe that I got was she's naked in front of him. So she gets out of the tub or bed, wherever she is in this room where he saved her, walks up to him, and they're having this conversation. And what she does is, before Wrath dazzled me with more charm, he risked her up. I whispered a containment spell that must have been fueled with his demon magic, because it did not go as planned. 1 second he was standing there, and the next he was gone, winked out of existence. It happened so quickly, but I'd managed to catch a glimpse of his face before he disappeared. He'd looked so betrayed. So she just makes him poof. After he saved her life, they're talking about it. She's like, okay, I'm scared of men, and she makes him disappear, which I think is kind of rude. He's back in the circle now, by the way. He's not gone, don't worry. I was like, oh, he's gone now. Like, we're gonna have the whole retrieval and trying to figure out how to get him back, but he's just in the circle. So that's kind of boring. Things get resolved very quickly in this book. When there's any conflict, they figure it out very quickly. It's kind of boring. She keeps thinking this kind of thing where it's like, a mix of emotion haunted me for several minutes. He was my enemy, even if he'd saved me. That one act of goodness didn't erase that fact. And yet I wasn't sure if I hoped I'd send him back to the underworld, if I hoped he was imprisoned in the cave again. She keeps thinking things like, oh my god, he hates me, he's doing this, but it must be so hard for him because he hates me. And I genuinely don't know. Oh fuck, I lost my nail. No, where is it? Where is it? I genuinely don't know where it went. Anyway, it's the middle finger too. The point I'm trying to make is she's very delusional. She's a little bit delulu. Saying things like, oh, he hates me, he definitely hates me. And I don't know why he would like her. So I kind of understand where she's coming from, but he does have a crush on her a little bit. You know, demon princes, all they do is be selfish, but he's not being very selfish. Like, he saved her even though he didn't have to. Used a lot of magic, licked her throat while she was naked. She was standing in front of him naked. She did not care. She was like, look at my boobies. I don't know if she has big boobies, but I bet they get described in the next book. Maybe I should just read it for the smut. But I love myself enough to not do that, actually. As I said, all of this kind of happens so fast. She is standing in front of him, makes him disappear, and then 3 pages later we get this. I blew out a long breath, hoping it was a sound decision. Goddess curse me, now I had to find out where I'd sent the Prince of Wrath. I grabbed his shirt and stole into the city to track down my missing Prince of Hell. So now she realizes, 3 pages later, I don't know why I said 5, but 3 pages later, she does need him. And maybe that was a dumb decision to make him disappear. When you literally read it with me. She said, oh, before he can rizz me up more, I'm gonna make him disappear. But no, it makes no sense. And now the issue is like, where is he? Like, she realizes after, 3 pages after, oh fuck, that was a dumb decision. How am I supposed to like her? I fucking hate her! Amelia was the worst part about this book, I'm gonna be honest. That, like, nothing was good, but Amelia was the worst. She actually has, like, a kind of like a crush on someone, and he's in the church, he's a monk. And they've known each other since childhood, and he joined the church unexpectedly, and she still has a crush on him, and he still has a crush on her. Antonio's arm had a surprising bit of muscle hidden beneath his robes, but he didn't try and stop me as I guided him into the corridor. They're kind of trying to fuck. Like, well, she finds Wrath, and then she takes him to the church, to the room where she found her sister, and then Antonio, the childhood friend, finds them in that room, and he's like, oh my god, are you doing something unholy? And they weren't, because they of course hate each other, but you know. And she kind of has a crush on him too, as I said. They meet with a messenger because for some reason, all of the girls are getting killed, and they are all supposed to marry Pride. So they are trying to figure out how the names of these girls are getting out to anyone, or like any potential murderer. And by doing this, they are meeting up with an informant that Wrath has. His name is Ania, and I think he plays like also a role in the next couple books, or why else would he be introduced? And he is of course our token person of color, and also he's probably gay, because we haven't had anyone gay yet. He was the only child of a Tunisian father and Chinese mother, and had been playing in a nearby olive tree during the brutal slaying of his parents. His father had witnessed a crime, and was going to tell authorities what he saw. Before he could do that, they were killed. Huh? Did you listen what I just read out to you? That was like that was worse than fanfiction description. Like, what is this vague ass description? His father witnessed a crime and was going to tell authorities. But before that, he was killed. He saw a crime. Oh no, he saw a little crime. It's like me explaining to a child. Can you elaborate? I think that's just not her strength. Like, the description and everything is not her strength. And writing books is also not her biggest strength, I gotta say. Maybe stick to the cooking. That was really mean. I didn't mean that. You know, everyone has time, or everyone deserves to grow. But as an author that's already published like 5 books before this one was published, and then this is the kind of the level of description that I get from you, that's really fucking lazy. Peace and love though. Maybe I should put peace and love here. Now, Anir is the one that comes in for plot convenience. He drops that they have to get married now. Your protection charm wasn't a bond of protection like a guardian to their ward. The translation of Evitas Ligati, yeah, we got this, means bound forever, as in holy matrimony. It wasn't needed for the summoning to be successful. Are you saying we're betrothed? I waited, heart pounding, but Wrath said nothing. He didn't need to. The truth was there in his eyes. It's like she should just write, the truth is in the pudding. Like, that's the kind of fucking writing I expect from this woman. He'd known all along what I'd done. No wonder he'd looked so horrified that night. I'd basically ripped him from hell and forced him into betrothal. Forever. When were you going to tell me? His voice came out soft. This doesn't change anything. I still want to fuck. So, Anir, shout out to you for revealing this. This doesn't have any relevance as of yet in this book. I don't care, actually. I don't want to do this anymore, but we're almost done. Don't worry. It gets me so mad. You know, I want to rant, but then I get so angry. It's not good for my heart rate. Basically, I think Wrath is explaining that the devil was married to the daughter of La Prima, and no one approved of this, and then the wife was murdered, and the devil's power was dampened, and he was trapped in hell, and now he's trying to get out of hell by getting the horns or something, or marrying someone, because that's the curse. I don't really know. The gates are continuing to weaken despite our best efforts. It's only a matter of time before they completely break. We've tried keeping them away, but some things have already arrived in this world. Such as lesser demons, of course, and you know what else is in this fucking world? Vampires and werewolves. Vampires and werewolves are in this book. I could not believe my fucking eyes. I did not know I was reading a fucking vampire book. Insane. Is this fucking Twilight? Oh, I remember this. Basically, she's like staying with Wrath in a abandoned house by the beach. Very convenient, very pretty. And he puts protection spells around this, so nothing can get in and nothing can, well, she can get out, but you know, If nothing's getting in, nothing's getting out either, because nothing's coming in. And she's hanging out in the castle by her, or in the, I don't know if it's a castle or just a house by herself. And she wrote her parents a note and her grandma that she doesn't care about because she didn't check up on her once, that she's not going to be home for a while and that she's like busy or whatever. And they don't come looking for her. They're like, okay, she's just doing her own thing. I think the way it goes is Wrath tells her, don't go out tonight. I'm not here. Just stay inside. It's dangerous for you outside in general because all of my brothers are trying to come and get you. Your grandma was almost assassinated. Just stay inside, please. Peace and love. Like, do one thing that I say. And she hears this and she says, I fucking hate this man. I'm not gonna listen. And so she goes outside and she meets Lust, one of his brothers, on the beach. And he makes her crazy. He makes her really horny. She's really, really wet. She starts taking her clothes off and everything. She feels super violated after this. Of course, understandably so. Like, she doesn't do anything with anyone, but she just feels violated, which is understandable. And then she's like, Wrath, please. And then he stabs his brother, and his brother, like, fake dies because he can't really die. And he goes back to hell. And he tells him, don't come back here again. I'll go home when I'm ready. Because Lust tells Wrath, you have to come home, like, the devil is waiting. And he's like, no, I'm not. And then he tells him, see you in hell, brother. And Lust disappears. So he takes Emilia back home. Emilia is now super duper depressed. She's super duper depressed for 2 weeks exactly, where she's not eating, she's not bathing, she's not doing anything because Lust made her feel all of the positive emotions, and so there's like nothing positive left in her, and it takes a while to replenish. I don't know. You know, Miss Carrie is just making shit up. So she doesn't feel any joy for 2 weeks, which means in turn that she's depressed now. And she doesn't get out of bed, and Wrath takes care of her while this is happening. But then his patience runs dry after 2 weeks, and he puts her in a bath, and then she takes a bath, and then she feels better. And that's the end of her depression. We love taking baths with bath bombs. I mean, obviously, the way I'm explaining it now is very simplistic. There's more to that than just her taking a bath. It's like some kind of ritual to guide the daughters of the moon back to the goddess of the moon or whatever. I don't really know. Like some witch ritual. He gets flowers for her and candles. A bath bomb, as I said, fuzzy one that has like a surprise in it maybe. And then she's not depressed anymore. But Miss Carrie, whose last name I already forgot since yesterday, she's again not very good at description, and she's not good at conveying emotion. And she's not good at writing, and so I didn't really care for her being depressed. She was depressed for 2 pages, and then she took a bath and she wasn't depressed anymore, and I was like, okay, if this is not that big of a plot point, like, why should I care? Now we have another situation where Wrath tells her, tonight is dangerous, don't go outside, it's a full moon, which is especially dangerous, please stay inside, I'm gonna go out by myself, it's just too dangerous for you. And she's like, I fucking hate this man. I mean, she doesn't, because she does want to fuck him really badly, but she just doesn't listen to him. Then I started thinking about free will and choices. And then I started to get annoyed that he was being a hypocrite by infringing on mine. I sat for 20 minutes contemplating why, if I had free will, I was listening to him. I had important things to do and had wasted enough time. I dressed in a simple dark grey sleeveless gown he must have recently acquired and stole into the quickly falling night. Bitch, I have free will too. And I'm not doing shit like that. All of your problems would have been avoided if you had listened for once. And the thing is, none of these situations that she gets herself in, she can resolve by herself. She's supposed to be very snarky and sarcastic and like witty. But at the end of the day, all of these big situations, like facing Lust, who made her really horny, or fighting the snake and getting bit, all of those situations Wrath had to come and save her from. So maybe I would listen to the man that keeps saving me. If I feel like she's very ungrateful. Her best friend Claudia, she goes to meet with her, and it turns out Claudia has gone mad because she did some scrying, and she did it with something that she's not supposed to, with like human bones, I think, and you're not supposed to do it with human bones, but she did anyway, and now she's going crazy. Her mind is stuck between realms, between hell and earth, or heaven and hell. I don't really know. And she's going crazy like right outside the church, and so all of the monks are coming and they're like, she's going crazy, that's the devil. And then Emilia is there and she's like, no, that's not the case. She's just had too much to drink. So then Antonio, the buff monk that she had a crush on earlier and that still has a crush on her, he's like, okay, I'll take her to your house. I'll take her to your house, to your grandma. Because apparently we care about grandma again. And then he pisses off with her and she goes to talk to someone, or she wants to figure something out. And while she does this, she gets followed and attacked by a vampire. This is when the vampires start coming, and I was like, fuck off, bitch, as if. And this vampire works for Envy, and Envy is one of the brothers who I forgot what he did before, but he's in her house, and he's like, I'm holding your whole family hostage, including your 2 friends that were supposed to come here, and if you don't get me the amulet, both half of the amulet, by tomorrow, I'm gonna kill everyone. And she's like, well, fuck. And then he's also like, you can't tell anyone about this. And then she goes back to Wrath and tells him about it. Yeah. So. Okay. A prince of hell's greatest pleasure is causing discord. Demon princes are discord mods. Confirmed. So then she goes back to her, like, house that she rented with Wrath and, like, their apartment and by the beach. And he's like, hey, what's up? And then they start making out, and it's like very like make out, like French kissing, and that's the whole thing. Like that's all the spice we get in this book, or you can't even call it spice. They're just making out. I'm not even gonna read this out to you because they're just making out. Period. There's nothing interesting about this. And then she's like, oh my god, Wade, and he goes, Emilia, and she's like, I can't. Which is like one way to kill the mood, definitely. And so he tells her, Envy whispers in your ear, and every action I've taken is whipped off your imaginary tally. Tell me, Emilia, what has he done for you? Aside from trying to carve your heart out, what honorable thing did he do to deserve your trust? Spill the blood of those you love? Maybe you like threats. Maybe I should make some of my own. Because Envy, that's holding her family hostage, he also told her that she shouldn't trust Wrath because he has to steal the soul of someone so that he's free from his own curse and he can go into Earth freely, because he cannot do that right now. He needs an anchor, which is why I'm saying he has like really basic tattoos, because like anchors are also really basic tattoos. Emilia is that person for him right now, but if he takes one more soul to hell, he's able to come to Earth without an anchor. Which, does he care that much? I don't really know. Apparently he does. And then of course we are back with the family, because she goes to visit Envy, who's holding her family hostage, and Grandma, who we do not care about. She awakens from her slumber. For some reason they believe after her throat was slit that she was not able to speak anymore, which doesn't make any sense because she healed from her wounds. She was just not talking. She just couldn't be bothered. Peace and love, like, I understand. Sometimes, you know, talking is really exhausting. She's in the room with Emilia and Envy at this very moment when they're arguing, and he's like, I'm gonna kill you because you talked about Wrath, like you talked about this to Wrath or something. And then her grandma just kind of rises from the underground and she goes, Silencium! And then Envy can't speak anymore, and her nana releases like some really powerful witch magic on him that sends him back to hell, but only for like 5 minutes, because he does come back like 5 minutes later, as I said, because he's only there for 5 minutes. And then her nana is like, well, yeah, I could speak the whole time, I just didn't. I just kind of let myself be held hostage and let you struggle, because like you didn't visit me after I was recovering, so fuck you. So this is the end of the book, and peace and love, I didn't know what was going on, okay? So you can tell me if you understand anything I'm saying. If not, then that's fine, because I don't get it either. She's talking to her grandma now about everything that's happened, because now she basically knows everything already, and her grandma reveals that there was a prophecy of 2 twin witches that when they were born on the night of a terrible storm, only then the amulets could be worn, because every prophecy has to have a rhyme, and there are no other twin witches who both have magic born within their family line, and so those witches must be Emilia and Vittoria, and so that's why they wore the horn of Hades. And then she says the prophecy goes as follows: the twins would signal the end of the devil's curse and would be forced to make great sacrifices to keep the gates of hell intact. If they chose to do nothing, hell will reign on earth. The twins are meant to bring balance to both realms, as above, so below. And then she's like, what does this mean? And Grandma's like, well, we don't really fucking know. And she's like, okay, thank you for telling me. Like, I know what to do now. And I didn't really know where this was going. But as I mentioned earlier, she does marry the devil. So that's where that was going. She goes into the church because she is still wearing her sister's amulet. And her sister wrote in her diary that she was able to hear, like, voices or something calling to her. And it turns out that that was La Prima's book. The ancient book with all the fucking spells in it. And so now that Emilia doesn't have this ability, she can see the fucking auras and shit, but she doesn't have this ability. But now that she's wearing her sister's amulet, she can access this ability. It's kind of like a DLC. And it turns out at this point that Antonio, the hot monk that had a crush on her, and she has a crush on him, or had, because now she's in love with Demon Daddy, that he's actually evil. Which was really random, and I don't know if he's actually evil or if this is just like a fake. Like, I don't know what's going on. Before Mother died, I took her to a woman I thought only used folk magic and prayer to heal. Turned out she was a witch. She caused my mother's death. I vowed right then to make amends to God. I promised if I ever met another witch, I'd send her straight to the dungeons of hell where she belongs. That's when my prayers were answered. An angel came to me shortly after, telling me about the devil's curse. He said in order to break it, the devil needed to marry a witch. The angel told me that couldn't happen, or else the devil would be set free. He said he'd provide the names of potential brides, and all I had to do to save us from true evil was kill witches. And so basically Antonio has been the one killing all of the witches. Big reveal. Doesn't make any sense to me. Peace and love, like, I don't really get it. Then I think the devil takes possession of Antonio's body and like appears, and he's like he spawns, and he's like, so what's up, bitch? You wanna marry me? And she's like, I know what to do now. I am going to marry you, because she has like a bigger plan. Then she gets a contract from the devil for the marriage, and this is probably like my favorite thing ever. I don't know how well I can show this to you, but it just says, like, I don't even know why they went to the lengths and effort to put this into the book, because this is embarrassing. Emilia Maria, oh sorry, that was my exam. Emilia Maria Di Carlo willingly agrees to join herself with, oh, I don't know what that says. What does that say? What do you think that says? Pride, but what is this? Is that his first name? Nuve? I don't fucking know. Like, why would he have an Italian name? To sell your soul, sign here. What kind of fucking contract is this? To sell your soul, just sign here. Peace and love, that's all. And then she says about this, it was simple enough, not much in the way of trickery. Which worried me more. Before I could run screaming, I pricked my finger and signed my soul away in blood, the magic binding me to the devil for eternity. Okay. I was really confused by the end scenes. Like, I don't really know what was going on here. I don't know what her bigger plan is for the second book. She is obviously still engaged to Wrath, and he actually disappeared because she was doing some, like, fooling around, and then she almost died, and then Wrath came to save her, and one of his brothers almost killed Wrath. One of his brothers, like, really beat up Wrath and almost killed him, and he was sent to hell. And then the next time she sees him is when she agrees to marry the devil, because he's the one who has to ask, are you willing to sign this contract and marry the devil? So this is when they see each other. But he appears to be very cold and mysterious, like, he doesn't even care. Like, she always knew he didn't care, blah, blah, blah. But they have, like, disrespectful sex in the last book, so don't worry. Maybe even the second one. So she marries the devil in the last line of the book is, I hope the kingdom of the wicked was ready for a vengeful queen. I don't know. I don't know where this is going. And that's how the book ends, guys. So I don't really know what to make of this conclusion, but I'm so glad it's over and I never have to think about this book again. Genuinely though, like, what is her plan? Like, have you read this series? Can you tell me, like, what happens? Because I'm curious, because I genuinely have no idea what direction this book is going into, or this series is going into, besides the fact that, of course, her sister is still alive, as I found out reading the summary of the third book, and that she has something to do with the devil. But like, what is the plot here? What is the plot here? She married the devil now, but she's still in love with Wrath? Is there like a love triangle? What's going on? I think everything that had to be said has been said. I don't think that her writing is for me. I was gonna say not very good, but like, that's objective. Just there's no descriptions of anything. The main character is stupid. The Princess of Hell don't have any distinguished features or acts that make them, like, make it justifiable for them to be Princess of Hell, because they don't do anything Prince of Hell-like. Emilia is dumb. There's no descriptions, no emotions. And I fucking hate the book. I like giving authors multiple chances, in case you didn't know. And so maybe I will be reading the Jack the Ripper one. You can tell me down below if that's a better one or not. Or if it's like equally as bad or even worse. But it's the same with Holly Black. I've given her multiple chances. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. My next read will be Echomoth. Are you excited for that? I hope you are, because I'm excited to read Echomoth. Because I loved Echomoth when I was younger, so I want to see. I think you'll get a review. Okay, is everyone excited for our Echomoth review? Woo! You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok, and honestly Sophie YT. And you can comment down below, you can add me on Goodreads, you can do all kinds of things, you know? But only if you want. You can like, subscribe, comment, turn on the bell. I don't even have the bell on for anyone, but you can do that. I would be happy about it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Stay happy, stay healthy. Peace and love. I'm gonna add that to the outro. Peace and love. I love you. Thank you so much. And maybe I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.